Good evening, mothers and fuckers. Welcome back to the Conspiracy Couch. I'm your host, Sam Mead, and I hope you've got some popcorn ready because tonight is going to get complicated. You might know tonight's topic from her hit singles Skater Boy and Girlfriend, and she just released a new single on Tuesday called Dumb Blonde featuring Nicki Minaj. You may also know her from a popular conspiracy theory that started in Brazil. The theory states that this certain singer-songwriter committed suicide back in 2003 at the peak of her career and was replaced by a lookalike in order to meet the needs from her record label. If you haven't guessed it by now, tonight's conspiracy topic is Avril Lavigne. Is she dead or is she alive? Here to discuss this conspiracy theory is Avril superfan Shelby and conspiracy theorist Emily. Can you two give me a brief introduction on how you became so invested in the topic of Avril?
Do you want me to go first?
Go for it.
I'll go first. I just get so excited talking about Avril. So I've been just like the biggest Avril fan. I mean, for a long time now, like kind of knew her before she was famous, and just it goes back. I remember the exact date that I first saw Avril. I mean, it was March 4th, 2006. My mom had gotten me VIP tickets, front row, of course. And I remember going, and I just felt like this sense of euphoria, even though I was like 10 years old. And honestly, like ever since that day, I've gone to every Avril show I could go to. I've spent thousands of dollars buying posters and all of her CDs and buying shirts and even pencils with her face on it. Everything I own is Avril, everything I love is Avril, and she's just my whole life. And I'm here to defend her honor, because there are people who are trying to discredit her, and I think that is blasphemous.
All right.
Honestly, I just like her music. I think Girlfriend's a bop, but I'm mostly just here for the conspiracy theory. Shane Dawson is my hero, so.
All right, well, let's get to what we're all here for. Avril, dead and replaced with a lookalike, or alive?
I 100% think she's dead. I think that there's too much evidence to prove that she is for anyone to say otherwise.
Evidence? That's a very harsh word. Evidence is, I would like to see this evidence. Oh, you've brought up a nice graphic for us. Okay.
Of course. Just look at her face. They're completely different.
What about it?
Her nose, first of all, that's a huge change. That's not just a little bit of makeup. That's definitely something completely different. And her jawline and her eyes, everything about her just looks completely different.
Well, I don't know if you're seeing this, but this is a load of bullshit. Personally, I think, first of all, a lot of this is just makeup. I mean, this was taken, 2007, 2006? Makeup has changed a lot since then. I'm sure they were going for the grungy look to match, the skater girl kind of vibe. And then here, she's changed up her look. She's got lighter hair, cleaner features, cleaner makeup. And that's just really what you're seeing here, is just a change in the style of her makeup. Probably got a new makeup artist. Probably wanted to fit in more with, society. We're not a very grungy society anymore. So this is all easily explained. I mean, I think this is just absurd, truly. Just absolute absurdity.
What about her eyes? Her facial structure is completely different.
No, I'm really not seeing it. I think this is all just lighting and makeup. I mean, the easy explanations for this loony conspiracy theory that you're trying to throw at me, and trying to discredit Avril, truly. I mean, I truly think that what's happening here is ageism, which, think about it. In Hollywood and the entertainment industry, we love to put down women as they get older. I mean, if you reach 30, 35, you're pretty much blacklisted from the entertainment industry. And that's what's going on here. We're trying to discredit Avril just based off of her looks, just because she's aged a little bit. Maybe her face looks a little different. None of that is unnormal for someone who is aging. So I think this is just a classic example of ageism and sexism. And that's what this person here is trying to advertise to you, is to believe this sexist conspiracy theory. And as a woman, I just can't. I can't believe this, truly.
I just don't think that it's a sexist conspiracy theory. I think that, they're two completely different people. The theory about her being a different person named Melissa,
Melissa?
Well, for those viewers who are completely confused, can you explain who Melissa Vandella is?
I would love to hear this.
Melissa is an Avril lookalike. She was hired when Avril was like first in her prime, but Avril had really terrible anxiety apparently, so she had a hard time meeting fans. So eventually that led to her getting really depressed, and she ended up killing herself. And instead of breaking the heart of like all of her fans and ending her career, they had Melissa take her place.
Well, there's a couple things. I can't believe people think this is real. I mean, this is absolutely absurd. I mean, it's clear that she's changed over time. I mean, this is Avril Lavigne. This is Avril Lavigne, you know, the Canadian pop star that we all know and love. First of all, to point out maybe the elephant in the room or something that no one really wants to acknowledge, dead people sell. Like dead people, when people die, you know, they get posthumous awards, you know, they get credits at award shows and the in memoriam. So really, if they wanted to keep selling records, it's not a bad thing that she died. But she didn't. That's what we need to realize here. Avril Lavigne did not die. And I don't know why you're so, you know, anal about this, but she just didn't die. That's point blank what happened. She did not die. This is still Avril Lavigne. I don't know who Melissa, Marissa, whatever her name is. She does not exist. Completely fake.
Now, Shelby, I know that you have brought a photo of you and Avril together. I'd love to hear more about stories of her and your relationship with her.
God, we've taken so many pictures together over the years. I mean, like I said, I've been to dozens and dozens, I mean, maybe even hundreds of Avril Lavigne shows at this point. I mean, my parents are kind of in debt, but we won't talk about that. And, you know, every time I go to a show, I just get so excited, and I just can't wait to see her. And she recognizes me now, and like, you know, I think because she's gotten so famous that like our visits keep getting shorter, and like she's kind of looking around whenever she sees me coming. But like even that short amount of time, which is really short now, that we spend together just makes me so happy, and she's just so warm and nice. She smells really good, and sorry, I just get so flustered talking about her. It's just, it's great.
I mean, even though you think you are her friend, I feel like people who we're friends with don't even notice like subtle changes over time. Like you don't notice your friend changing over like a year. So I think that if you look at the side by side, there's definitely a big change that you should notice.
You know, like I said, I've got posters and pictures, and like she's my wallpaper. So like I would know if it was a different person. Like I would know if Avril was not Avril. Like that's point blank. I would know.
I mean, not to mention like, you know, her facial structure and everything about that is different, but her voice is completely different.
Her voice?
No, her voice has not changed. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. Like her music has changed. What are you trying to say? Her music is different. Like that's first of all, that's completely wrong. Her voice is not different. Her music might have changed, but she's just keeping up with the times. Grunge was in, now it's not. Bubblegum pop is in. She's just moving with the times. I think that's just another absurd, you know, little spice in this pot of conspiracy that she's trying to sell us, and
I just think you're a liar.
You think I'm a liar?
Yeah.
I would not lie, okay? And Avril would not lie to me.
I think it might be time for a commercial break, so we'll be right back shortly. So the story goes, if you do the chant in front of a mirror, she will appear.
Let's do it.
I told you guys it was just a story.
Sort of love to tell of a ghost.
That looks good, you know.
Thank you. The Woman in White premieres in theaters on February 30th. Be sure to go check it out, if you dare. So let's get back to our conversation about Avril and her supposed death. Now that we've talked about the differences in her face and voice, let's talk about her music. I know that one big theory is that her sound has changed drastically over time, going from her deeply rooted punk sounds to more of a bubblegum pop sound. Would you care to elaborate on that?
Well, I know we touched on this a little bit before the break, but again, completely absurd to suggest that just because someone's musical style changes over time that, she's been replaced by a clone and she is all of a sudden this completely different person. Absolutely absurd. I mean, I can think of numerous musical artists who their sound has changed just within 3 years, let alone the, 13 years it's been since, 2006 when I first saw her, or 2002 when Skater Boy came out. I mean, completely absurd to expect someone who, as they mature, not to evolve their music over time. I don't know where you're getting this from.
I mean, yeah, sure, people change, but most people don't go from like this emo sound to like a bubbly, dumb, blonde sound.
I need to watch the adjectives you're using there. I think dumb is okay.
I mean, and also, how do you explain her handwriting?
Handwriting? Is that really how deep you're going into this? Her handwriting?
Yeah, it's completely changed.
And I think you've brought an example of this, haven't you?
I can't wait
Yeah,
to
of
see
course.
this.
Now, as you can see on the screen, Avril's handwriting is more tight, where Melissa's is looser and not as neat as hers.
And your point with that? I mean, if handwriting, does your handwriting not change? My handwriting changes depending on the pen I'm holding.
It doesn't change
I
that
mean,
much.
I mean, if I'm writing fast, it looks sloppy. If I'm writing slower, maybe a little neater. The millimeter of the pen you're using, 0.07, 0.05. I'm more of a 0.07 kind of girl, but this is really just, scraping the mud and just going through just the deepest holes that you could go into to try to pull out scrambles of evidence to try to prove this conspiracy theory. Where do you get this stuff from? Do you go outside?
I mean, I think you're crazy and you're just another mindless sheep.
Well, then bye, bitch. I'm fine being an Avril sheep. I'm proud.
Okay, and what about her lyrics? I've read that things in her song hint at suicide.
What have celebrities never made a song about something that they may not have? Rappers rap about, shooting people. Not every rapper has shot someone. Just because someone's singing about suicide doesn't mean that they've killed themselves. I mean, where's the logic in that? I don't understand it. Maybe you can elaborate on that.
I mean, lyrics from her first album indicate depression. In one of her songs, Damn Cold Night, she even talks about how she was like lost and out of her mind.
Well, I mean, I think we've all been lost and out of our mind, maybe in a, maybe a more fun way or so. I truly, just because you're going through depression, not everyone who's depressed kills himself. And I think this is very insensitive to people who do struggle with these issues to try to implant this onto Avril, who one is a flawless human being, and two would not do something like that, not only to her but to me. She would not do that to me. Is I think what you need to understand.
All right then. Well, I mean, if you look even deeper into her music in the next album after, she died, there's a giant X over her, and I feel like that's kind of pretty telling of, all of that.
That is just a load of horseshit. When you're looking at that album and you see the X, there's a lot of things that could symbolize. It could symbolize one, kind of a Taylor Swift-esque thing. The old Taylor is dead, maybe the old Avril is dead, and she's reinventing herself. That doesn't mean that she is physically dead, because again, she wouldn't do that to me. And so I think the thing we need to get across here is that album art doesn't always indicate that someone's dead. I mean, she wouldn't do that. I don't know how you don't understand. She wouldn't do that to me.
Okay, ladies, we're about running out of time. So do you have any final thoughts you would like to wrap up this with?
I think you need help.
I think she's dead.
Can you not say that word? Can you not say dead, please? She's alive and well. I've seen her. I've seen her many times. We've taken many pictures together. I think you. This is really. Are we almost done?
All right,
Can we
guys.
be done?
Thank you for tuning in tonight, everybody. Make sure you tune in to next week's Conspiracy Couch, where we'll be talking about the moon landing and how there may or may not be a certain president from the 60s trapped there. Good night.